Hey everybody, welcome back. What are we bringing to you today? Something you're probably not expecting. You might not even known you needed. Brought to you by Yeti, Punk, and WolverThor. We're gonna bring to you some new, or potentially new, maybe you've been doing this the whole time, who knows, some new Ultimus 7 raid pathing lanes, whatever you want to call it. So you've probably been doing the 3-2-3, meaning 3 on the left, 2 in the middle, 3 on the right. Some of you might have been doing 2-3-3, or maybe even 3-3-2. So we kind of started looking at this and going, you know what, people are going to start pushing this raid a little bit. You know, is this the right pathing that everyone's kind of generally been used to? The standard one that everyone normally uses is the 3, 2 in the middle, 3. So 3 on the outsides, 2 in the middle. Most people typically use that. My alliance has been using that forever. We did switch one person in the middle to try it a little bit, and it seemed to work pretty well. And then Punk, Yeti, and I all started talking, and we started diving real deep into these nodes. So we came up with a new raid lanes. We think this will help you get to 100% in this raid when you're ready. Obviously, it's not some magic formula, but if you're already pushing that 60% threshold, closer to 70, 80, we think through some analysis that we've done, deep diving, that this is going to potentially bring you there. So anyway, I'm going to show you the graphic. Of course, Punk has done fantastic work as always. He was very patient with both myself and Yeti in getting this together. He's very good on keeping on top of us to make sure we get things done. So thank you, Punk. Shout out to you. And then obviously, massive shout out to Yeti as always. Working with him quite a bit, you know, doing a lot of collaborations. Great mind, great player. You know, the three of us, we got together, talked about the lanes. You know, Punk's our graphic artist specialist. And the three of us combined kind of thought about how we wanted to approach this and looking at the toughest nodes and making sure to do things. So anyway, enough about that. I'll show you the graphic, get into, you know, how we did it. I'm also going to show you there's a way that this is formatted that we're hoping this could work for your alliance as well. So I'll go through all that. Anyway, let's check this thing out.
Bring me WolverThor!
All right, so this is the graphic we put together. I'll zoom in a second. I recognize you probably can't see it at all. And this will be shared on all three of our Discords. I'll have all those links in the description below. But Yeti and his Tahiti Discord, Punk's Discord will have this, as well as my own Discord will have it for you guys to download. And hopefully it helps you push further along. So first, I just wanted to give you kind of a overall larger view of it. It will, as always, fit on your mobile phone so that it's an easy use. You don't have to be at a computer. Should look pretty well. And you can kind of scroll and zoom in as needed. And as you scroll in here, you can see all the way from the top, we've got our April 2020 version 6. This is the first one you guys see, but it tells you the work that Punk does behind the scenes, shifting things around, all that. And I'll get into this middle space here. I've got a potential use for you there in case you're wondering what you might be able to use that for if need be. And then we go through these lanes, you know, or it's just we color code them like you'd expect. And what you'll see here is obviously what I mentioned before, 2, 3, and 3. So you're gonna have 2 on the left side, 3 in the middle, and 3 on the right. And we didn't just want to actually color these paths and say these are the lanes. What we hope to do here is we really digested these lanes and tried to write up something that would help alliances provide assignments. Because you know, sometimes that's the hardest aspect of this is, you know, you could see a line just taking you from point A to B, but if you've got 8 different lines and 3 groups of 8 different lines, and you've got to assign a person from your alliance to each of those, and you're like, wait a minute, what person needs to go in this type of spot? And so we tried to tackle that. We tried to condense it as much as we could. Trust me, we'd want to write a paragraph on each one of these if we could. But the truth is that gets a little bit too hard and complicated. The graphic would get too congested. So we were like, you know what, how can we get this as condensed as humanly possible. So we went through a whole bunch of different iterations of this. And again, shout out to Hounds on this one. Yeti had talked to Hounds a little bit. Hounds took probably our 30th version of what we wrote and really made it 1,000 times better. We probably should have went to him right off the get-go, to be honest with you. It made the write-up just so much cleaner, and really, we think something that you could look at as an alliance leader, captains, and go, okay, this is the type of player I need to put in this lane. You probably already know at this point, but just in case you don't, or if you want to know how we feel about it, this is how we kind of approach the lanes. So lane 1 is this typical far left side. We're calling that a strong solo lane. You really need somebody who one-shots and is very energy efficient. So, and the same thing with lane 2. So the person that you want to put in these lanes is somebody that you can always count on to be, on right when you're launching. Typically, everyone's got their raids sequenced on when they're launching them. That person that's like ready to jump in, their user energy right away, is an efficient raider. They know how to get the one-shots, they know their teams, they know their nodes, and they really can get through these 2 lanes. And the reason you really want to do that before jumping into the nodes is because they don't have any help until they get up here to this final node. So they've really got to carry their own, except for when they meet up in these boss nodes. So that's pretty critical. Lane 3, we call this tag team difficult back half. High difficulty lane. And then I want to throw this on with 4 and 5 because each of these sections kind of have to work as a unit. The lane 4, the yellow one here, tag team front half for energy efficiency, highest difficulty lane. So again, let me emphasize that lane 4 is technically the highest difficulty lane. So, and the reason, well, I'll get to that in a second. 5, tag team, and that's because 5's got tag teams throughout. High difficulty lane, some 2 or 3 shots may be required. So as you go through here, you can see that 4 is swinging from the right to the left, and then back to the right again, and then back to the left again. Because a lot of the nodes on that path are actually some of the hardest in the raid as far as at that level. So the 4 is really meant to help with 3 and 5 to be able to get through this real gauntlet of a raid pathing, because there are some really tough nodes. The Fury node for a long time for many was a real problem. Oh brother, this Ronin node is brutal. And then even when you get up in here, there's some pretty tough nodes. So you really got to have some really solid raiders in this spot. You need the help in this lane unless you're super high power and just really, really energy efficient and one-shotting everything. Again, lane 3 is a tag team difficult back half. And then it's a high difficulty lane, but technically lane 4 is the highest difficulty lane. So again, you're gonna have people, I know for me, I run this blue one at the moment, and I can one-shot, for the most part, for sure, through Fury. Typically, I can one-shot these unless I run out of time. But, having someone there to help get me further so that I can get to the Ronin node, because sometimes I'm even super energy efficient. By the time I get to the Ronin node, after taking out potentially 2 bosses, maybe having a 2-shot if I time out, it's like, okay, well, the old brother Ronin boss that was going to take me a bit. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why we've got that 4 in there to help with that hardest lane. And then, like I said, 5 is also a high difficulty lane. Some 2 or 3 shots required. Again, there's some difficult nodes in this general section, especially as this person solos off to the right. Okay, on to lane 6. Strong solo. So 1-shots for energy efficiency, and this is slightly harder than lanes 1 and 2. I won't run up this because lanes 7 and 8 are critical in this juncture. Like I mentioned earlier, these teams or these sections they really act as a team. And it's about energy efficiency as best you can as a group or unit. So lane 7 we called the Robin lane. And we understand this is not DC, it's Marvel, but that's kind of a little bit more pop culture. Did think about the Captain America Falcon. Maybe we run it that way, but it's like, let's just do Batman Robin. That seems to be, something that I think everybody's more used to. So we called 7 the Robin lane. Less developed raid roster to slingshot partner into back half. And then, of course, you've got to have your Batman lane, which is lane 8, and that's clean up with Robin. So The way this works, so we'll start with 6, is a strong solo for one-shots for efficiency. So you really have this first section, which is pretty easy. You get the start with 7 and 8 on the right-hand side, and then what 7 is doing, like it is saying, is to slingshot partner into the back half. So this is helping them potentially, you really want your 7 to pick up these first 2 nodes if possible. This node is probably going to be whoever gets there first, probably 6. But then 7 comes back over and helps with this lane 6, while 8 is over here on the right-hand side. But 7 then goes back to help with 8 on this tough stretch run on the backside. And then 6 stays here and goes to the middle and reconvenes at the boss, this almost last boss node. So, and the reason again for this stuff is so that you can be energy efficient and, like we said, slingshot this person into the back. So you really want to get there, get this person going, they get these 4, maybe whatever at the boss nodes, and then come back to help them here. And then white is actually helping with pink, or lane 7 is helping with lane 6 for this stretch run here to set up 6 to be successful solo here. So, and again, look, your alliance might have slightly different things, and if you need, 7 to swing back, understandable, but the way that we looked at this was all about the energy efficiency of these lanes. And what you want to do is try to spread it out as much as you can. And the way we did that, I'm going to look at, like, we basically wrote this stuff down. We looked at it in deep depth. Yeti specifically went through each one and talked about, and this is probably when I first met Yeti virtually, is, some of the work he and Kyle did were about one-shotting nodes. So he's very, very knowledgeable in that regard. And the way we were kind of looking at this, and that he specifically laid this out, was if you look at, lane 1 and 2, and this is just like when you combine and, you duo up for boss nodes, is lane 1 and 2, you've got 8 solo, 3 duo mini bosses. Mid, that section, you've got lane 3 and lane 5 equal, where they're both going 4 solo, they've got 4 duo, and then 3 trio mini bosses. And then, but lane 4 technically has 0 solo and 8 duo with, of course, the 3 trio mini bosses. And then on the right side with lane 6 and 8, those are both similar to lanes 3 and 5 in regard to how many nodes they're hitting solo versus duo, where it's 4 solo, 4 duo, and then again 3 trio nodes. And what I mean by that is when you get to this node, that's a duo node. You got 2 people there. When you get to this Carnage boss node, that's 3. It's a trio node. This is a solo node. So when we looked at that, it's like, all right, you got 3 potential people hitting here. There you got 2. Here you got 1. So that's really how, when Yeti was looking at this, is talking about his, the energy efficiency of it, and really being smart about how you attack the lanes. And then I didn't mention, but 7 is 0 solo. It's very similar to 4. 0 solo, 8 duo, and then 3 mini bosses. So, that whole thing was kind of like, okay, that setup makes it so it's pretty equal throughout the board. So one of the things that I wanted to show you guys about, like, and we were looking at these nodes is, and this was like a concept graphic. So what I did here is basically I set these up. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. So I set this up in a way that I was trying to figure out where the hardest nodes in the whole thing were. Because Yeti, like I said, he and Kyle had done all this heavy research, figuring out where to one-shot nodes, testing different teams, and I felt like he was a really good base of knowledge for this. And so we kind of color-coded it as it got harder, and you could see, the ones with the boxes around it and that are red up here at the top, you get tougher nodes. So you've got this left side where it really doesn't have as much red until you're kind of getting to this last stretch here. So it's like you got these 2, which, until you get there, it's like, all right, they should be okay. You got to have good raiders, but you're not really getting to the really tough ones until here. Whereas 3, 4, and 5, you got by far the hardest third boss node, and then you've got these 2 difficult nodes in the next line after that. And then again, similar over here, this side, you've got this Fury's Brotherhood of Mercenaries, which can be pretty tough. And then obviously Firestorm here can, this guy's got to solo it, so the 2 over here, should be able to finish it. But again, if you've got 7 following up there, then that person is maybe your lower raid roster and maybe tapping it if need be, that type of thing. That's where you got to coordinate. And then you all sync up and go with the shields up at the end. So that's kind of how I had to look at it from a conceptual standpoint, where we eventually got back to, this version. So it was like, okay, you could kind of see where some of these difficult nodes were and try to start planning around that. So that's how we came up with it. The part that I want to show you guys that is kind of the last tidbit is how, again, this is going to be on our Discord, but the way I think this can help some Alliance leaders with assignments outside of the description is taking something and then putting it right here in this top section and just basically pasting it there and then using that graphic as something you can share with your Alliance mates. And if you have any sort of, web editing or image editing program or copy and pasting that you could probably do a PDF type thing, I'm going to show you what I do, and it's pretty simple. So I've got a virtual online photo editor. It's free. I just go here and play around. So I've got this uploaded, and as you can imagine, I've got a spreadsheet for how I track things for lanes. So I've got this thing here, which if you're on a PC, all you got to do is simply grab your snipping tool. You click it here, you drag and you copy, and it pops up. You can't see it right now necessarily, but it pops up. I do edit copy. I jump back over here. I go paste. So I pull it up here, and then you just basically resize it. Now in my program, I do free transform so that it stays where the image is going to be. What do you call it? It's going to be. It'll be still nice and crisp. So now I've got this file, and I'll file save it, and then I will upload this to my Alliance's Discord and say, here are your Ultimus 7 lanes. And that way there's one graphic that somebody can click on from Discord on their phone, see it, see the lane paths, see the descriptions of the lane paths if they need to. And you've got this color coding off to the side, which matches the colors of the lane. So that's how I personally set it up. And I really like doing that. It gives it so it's just one spot. You don't have to find just the spreadsheet, and then you've got to go find the map. It's all in one section. So save it all together if you want, if you can. I personally think this will help keep things in one spot. You don't have to worry about it as much that way. And yeah, I mean, I think your Alliance is going to be, very thankful for you to have it up here like this. They'll see it. They can zoom in, kind of see what they need to see, and go hit their lanes. So that's the biggest thing I got to say about it. Again, shout outs to Yeti and Punk. Worked pretty hard on this. We've been working on this for, it feels like a month at least. Obviously Yeti, I mean, technically that's just the collaboration of it. Between the three of us and our knowledge of the raids we've been doing since it started. And so you could argue months, I suppose. So anyway, enough of me rambling. Use it, don't use it. We hope it's helpful to you. That was really what we wanted to do this for. We think it's going to help you guys get to 100%, especially if you're in that 65, 70, 85-ish range. If you shift some things around, be smart about who you assign where, we really think that people are going to start being able to push to the end of this raid. So, yeah, let us know what you're thinking. Come to any of our Discords. All of those links are going to be in the descriptions below. Hit up any of us to talk about it. Ask us questions. Whatever you're thinking. Tell us we're stupid and we don't know what we're talking about. We'd love to hear your feedback, positive or negative, one way or another. If you think something should be a different way, let us know. We're human. There's definitely things we could miss. We tried to analyze it as deep as we could, really look at each node, look at the energy efficiency, and try to give you guys a way to look at this in a way that you could give your Alliance assignment. So that's what we got. Again, really hope it's helpful. Hammer down on the like button, do the subscription, share with the Alliance mates, anyone else on your Discords. Let us know what you guys think. Put it around wherever you want. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful day.